one of the most fun things we do every time we come here for this program. Get questions from the audience to pepper the panel with. So let's find out what we've got as we go up to the stands. Sir, what's your name, where are you from, and what's your question?
My name is Glenn. I'm from Long Island, and I was curious which move you thought was better, the Castro move or the Chapman move?
All right, Jack, what do you think?
They're both great moves, Bob. You look at Chapman, you put him at the end of the bullpen. You already have Betances and Miller. That's a lockdown bullpen. But there was a need at second base, too, and you look at Castro, and that's a guy who's going to get 600 plate appearances, as opposed to Chapman maybe pitching 50 or 60 innings. So the guy who's going to have the chance to have a bigger impact, to me, is Castro.
Yeah, and Glenn, it's a great question because the more electric name, obviously, is Aroldis Chapman closing things out.
Well, Jack, that's just it. He's going to have more opportunity, but everybody wants to see Chapman at the back end of the bullpen. And that's not just fans. That's players on the current Yankees team. I spoke with Dellin Betances, and he told me first couple games of the season, he might be back out there in that dugout just watching Chapman for himself. He said he remembers watching him in the All-Star game. It was electric. He's looking forward to seeing him in Yankee pinstripes.
All right, let's go back to the bleachers. Hi, what's your name and what's your question?
Hi, my name is Ray Gillock. I'm from Clifton, and my question is, when do you think the Scranton shuttle will start running, and who should be called up first?
All right, the wheels on the bus go round and round. When's that starting, Flash?
I'll tell you what, I think we know the Yankees are going to have a 25-man roster on opening day. I think that shuttle starts possibly the next day. I don't know who the first player is going to be coming up from Scranton, but I think we saw this last year, Jack, that revolving door in the bullpen. I think it's going to get even bigger with maybe the everyday player as well.
I totally agree with you. I think it will be a pitcher. I can't tell you which pitcher it will be, but they became so accustomed to doing that last year. They liked it. It gave them fresh arms. It gave them the opportunity to take a look at some of these players. And the guys who were on that Scranton shuttle last year, they're going to get a bigger look this spring training because they had a taste in the majors last year.
All right, back up to the bleachers. Hi, what's your name and what's your question?
Hi, I'm Joanne Grabowski, and I'm from Mountainside, New Jersey. And I was wondering what would happen to Greg Bird if Teixeira remains healthy.
All right, Meredith, what do you think?
Well, it's unfortunate for Greg Bird because he was such an asset at the end of last season. He really filled in, and offensively, he carried the team at times. Unfortunately, the Yankees have said they're not moving him around. He is a first baseman in their eyes. So with the ability to only play one position for the team, it seems like he's going to be stuck in the minor leagues unless Mark Teixeira gets injured. Now, could that change as this season progresses? If there are problems offensively and the Yankees aren't hitting, sure, anything can happen, but he'll most likely start that season in AAA.
One of the things we all know is Greg Bird did a great job, and Greg Bird is a great guy. He's not going to complain. He's going to go down to AAA if that's the case, and he's going to be a productive player. The one thing when you are a young player in the major leagues, if you have options, the team can use that against you, send you to the minor leagues. They don't risk losing you. That's all part of being a young player. This kid's going to go down, be productive. He's not going to complain. When he comes back, he'll be ready.
All right, let's get our next question as we go up to the stands again.
Hi, my name is Billy Pinkney from Little Falls, New Jersey, and my question is, what do you think Joe Girardi's biggest challenge will be this season?
All right, Jack, what do you think?
I think the biggest challenge always revolves around pitching, and it's that starting rotation for me. It's how does Girardi pull the most out of that starting rotation? We know they have a great back end of the bullpen, but to me, he's got to figure out a way to get some of those starters to give him length. Because you look at the Yankees last year, their starters averaged a little more than 5 1/3 innings per game. That's just not enough for me. So I think his challenge revolves around the rotation.
I think he also has a challenge like he did with last year's club with the age on this team. You know, how do you give days off to guys like Beltran, Teixeira, Alex Rodriguez, Brian McCann, keep everybody fresh? I think the role players are going to be so important. The Aaron Hicks who's come over, and he's going to get some opportunities in the outfield. So I think the challenge for Girardi is going to be the same as last year with an aging roster.
All right, back up to the seats. Sir, what's your question?
Hi, my name's Fred Backer from Mendham, New Jersey. My question is, after his improved second half, what is the ceiling for Didi Gregorius?
Boy, it jumped up in the second half last season, and it looks like there's still upside, Meredith.
Well, they're hoping that he hasn't reached the ceiling again, as far as Didi Gregorius is concerned. He's still relatively young, and they really liked what he did in the second half of the season, both offensively and defensively. And if you speak with Didi Gregorius and members of that organization, they'll tell you that he didn't look 100% comfortable in the first half of the season. It does sometimes take players a little bit of time to transition to playing in New York, and even though he won't probably admit it, you have to imagine stepping into a position where Derek Jeter was the main guy for so long, you might put a little bit extra pressure on yourself.
Yeah, he jumped up in the second half, and now he gets to work with Starlin Castro, too, which is a nice combination, which we might see more upside with, too.
Right, Bob, and we had him on one of our earlier Hot Stove shows, and he talked about that, the opportunity to have a guy side by side, a guy that you know is going to be there every day. and a guy that could be there for several years with Didi. They both turned 26 this year. And to Meredith's point, I totally agree that he put too much pressure on himself starting out. But here's one thing to remember about Didi Gregorius. What happened to him last year? He's never going to have that kind of occurrence again. He doesn't have to replace Derek Jeter anymore. He's the guy. He's the shortstop.
What do you think?
Well, I think maybe left-handed pitching, which he did such a better job in the second half of the year. I think he comes in now, and you don't worry about platooning him. When we were in spring training last year, we're saying who's going to play against left-handed pitching. Those questions are over now. Didi Gregorius is your guy every day.